7 Basic Baking Tips: Ingredients and their role in creating successful baked goods. Understanding the ingredients is an important aspect of baking basics. When you understand the role that each ingredient plays in creating successful baked goods, you can make adjustments as needed to achieve the desired result. Here are some key ingredients to consider when it comes to baking basics. Flour. Flour is the foundation of most baked goods. It provides structure, texture, and flavor. Different types of flour, such as all-purpose, bread flour, and cake flour, have different protein contents and gluten levels, which affect the texture of the finished product. Flour can be classified based on several factors, including the type of grain used, the protein content, and the milling process. Here are some common classifications of flour and their functions in baking. A. All-purpose flour. All-purpose flour is a versatile flour that is suitable for a wide range of baked goods. It has a moderate protein content of around 10 to 12%, which makes it suitable for both cakes and breads. All-purpose flour is milled from a blend of hard and soft wheat varieties. B. Bread flour. Bread flour has a high protein content of around 12 to 14%, which makes it ideal for making breads and other baked goods that require a lot of structure and volume. Bread flour is milled from hard wheat varieties. C. Cake flour. Cake flour has a low protein content of around 7 to 9%, which makes it ideal for making tender and delicate baked goods like cakes, pastries, and biscuits. Cake flour is milled from soft wheat varieties. D. Pastry flour. Pastry flour has a slightly higher protein content than cake flour, usually around 9 to 10%. It is ideal for making pie crusts, tarts, and other delicate pastries that require a little more structure and stability than cake flour can provide. E. Whole wheat flour. Whole wheat flour is milled from the entire wheat kernel, including the bran and germ. It has a higher fiber content and a more complex flavor than white flour. It can be used in a variety of baked goods, but it requires more liquid and a longer mixing time to develop gluten properly. F. Gluten-free flour. Gluten-free flours are made from non-wheat grains like rice, corn, and quinoa. These flours are ideal for people with gluten sensitivities or celiac disease. However, gluten-free flours have different properties than wheat-based flours, and may require different techniques and recipes to achieve the desired result. In general, the function of flour in baking is to provide structure, texture, and flavor to baked goods. The protein content and quality of the flour will affect how much gluten is formed during mixing, which in turn affects the texture and structure of the final product. Different types of flour have different characteristics that make them more suitable for certain types of baked goods. As a baker, it's important to choose the right type of flour for each recipe to achieve the best results. Leavening agents. Leavening agents are what makes baked goods rise. Baking powder and baking soda are the most commonly used leaveners in baking. Baking powder is a combination of baking soda and an acid, while baking soda requires an acid to activate it. Leavening agents are substances that produce gas and cause dough or batter to rise during baking. Here are the main classifications of leavening agents and their functions. A. Chemical leavening agents. Chemical leavening agents include baking powder and baking soda. These agents work by producing carbon dioxide gas when they react with an acidic ingredient, such as buttermilk or lemon juice. Baking powder contains both baking soda and an acid, so it does not require an acidic ingredient to activate it. Chemical leavening agents are often used in quick breads, cakes, and cookies. B. Yeast. Yeast is a single-celled organism that ferments sugars and produces carbon dioxide gas as a byproduct. Yeast is commonly used in bread making to produce a light, airy texture. There are two main types of yeast: active dry yeast and instant yeast. Active dry yeast needs to be activated in warm water before use, while instant yeast can be added directly to the flour. C. Natural leavening agents. Natural leavening agents include sourdough starter, which is a mixture of flour and water that has been fermented by wild yeast and bacteria. Sourdough starter is often used in artisan bread making to produce a tangy flavor and chewy texture. D. Steam. Steam is also a leavening agent, particularly in baked goods with a high moisture content, such as bread or pa-ta chunks. The heat from the oven causes the moisture in the dough or batter to turn into steam, which expands and helps the baked goods rise. In general, the function of leavening agents is to lighten and aerate baked goods, creating a lighter texture and improving the flavor. The type of leavening agent used will depend on the recipe and the desired outcome. Baking soda and baking powder are often used in recipes that require a quick rise, while yeast and sourdough starter are used in longer rise recipes. Steam is typically used in high-moisture baked goods to help them rise and expand. Sugar. Sugar provides sweetness and helps tenderize baked goods. It also helps to caramelize the crust of baked goods, creating a golden brown color and crispy texture. Sugar is a key ingredient in baking, providing sweetness, flavor, and texture to a variety of baked goods. Here are the main classifications of sugar and their functions. A. Granulated sugar. Granulated sugar, also known as white sugar, is the most commonly used sugar in baking. It is made from refined sugar cane or sugar beet and has a fine texture. Granulated sugar is used in a variety of baked goods, including cakes, cookies, and breads, and is often used to sweeten fruit fillings and sauces. B. Brown sugar. Brown sugar is made by adding molasses back into refined white sugar, giving it a slightly moist texture and a caramel-like flavor. It is used in many baked goods, particularly those that require a rich, caramel flavor, such as chocolate chip cookies or caramel sauce. C. Powdered sugar. Powdered sugar, also known as confectioner's sugar or icing sugar, is finely ground granulated sugar that has been mixed with cornstarch. It is used to make frosting, glazes, and dustings for baked goods, and can also be used to sweeten whipped cream and other desserts. D. Coarse sugar. Coarse sugar, also known as decorating sugar or sanding sugar, is a large grain sugar that is often used to decorate baked goods. It adds a crunchy texture and a sparkling appearance to cookies, cakes, and other desserts. E. Liquid sweeteners. Liquid sweeteners, such as honey, molasses, and corn syrup, are often used in baking to add sweetness and moisture to baked goods. They can also be used to enhance the flavor of other ingredients, such as nuts and spices. In general, the function of sugar in baking is to provide sweetness and flavor to baked goods, as well as to contribute to the texture and appearance of the final product. Sugar also helps to tenderize baked goods and can help to extend their shelf life. The type of sugar used will depend on the recipe and the desired outcome. Before we proceed, please don't forget to comment and subscribe to our channel for us to know if you want more content like this. Now let us proceed. Fat. Fat adds richness and flavor to baked goods. It also helps to tenderize and moisten baked goods. Butter, oil, and shortening are common types of fats used in baking. Fats play an important role in baking, contributing to the texture, flavor, and overall quality of baked goods. Here are the main classifications of fats and their functions. A. Butter. Butter is a common type of fat used in baking. It provides a rich, buttery flavor and a tender crumb to baked goods. Butter also helps to create flaky layers in pastries and can be used to create a crispy texture on the outside of baked goods. B. Shortening. Shortening is a type of fat that is solid at room temperature and has a high melting point. It is often used in recipes that require a high level of fat, such as pie crusts and cookies. Shortening can create a tender crumb and a flaky texture in baked goods, and it has a neutral flavor that allows other flavors to come through. C. Oil. Oil is a liquid fat that can be used in baking, particularly in recipes that require a moist, tender crumb. Oil can help to keep baked goods moist and tender, and it has a neutral flavor that allows other flavors to come through. D. Lard. Lard is a type of fat that is made from pork fat. It has a high melting point and is often used in recipes that require a flaky texture, such as pie crusts and pastries. Lard can contribute to a tender crumb and a rich flavor in baked goods. E. Margarine. Margarine is a butter substitute that is made from vegetable oil. It can be used in place of butter in many baking recipes, and it has a similar texture and flavor. Margarine can be used to create flaky layers in pastries and can contribute to a tender crumb in baked goods. In general, The function of fats in baking is to add richness and flavor to baked goods, as well as to contribute to their texture and appearance. Fats can help to create a tender crumb, a flaky texture, or a crispy crust, depending on the type of fat used and the recipe. The type of fat used will depend on the recipe and the desired outcome. Eggs. Eggs provide structure and moisture to baked goods. They also act as a leavener in some recipes. Egg yolks add richness and color, while egg whites add volume and stability. Eggs are an essential ingredient in baking, contributing to the structure, texture, and flavor of many baked goods. Here are the main classifications of eggs and their functions. A. Whole eggs. Whole eggs are the most common type of eggs used in baking. They provide moisture, richness, and structure to baked goods, and they can also help to emulsify and bind ingredients together. Whole eggs are used in a variety of baked goods, including cakes, cookies, and breads. B. Egg whites. Egg whites are often used in baking to add structure and stability to whipped egg whites, meringues, and soufflé. Copyright S. They can also be used to create a light and airy texture in cakes and other baked goods. C. Egg yolks. Egg yolks are used in baking to add richness, flavor, and color to baked goods. They can also help to emulsify and bind ingredients together, and they are often used in custards, ice creams, and other desserts. D. Egg replacers. Egg replacers are often used in vegan or egg-free baking. They can be made from a variety of ingredients, including tofu, applesauce, and flaxseed, and they can be used to provide structure, moisture, and binding properties to baked goods. In general, the function of eggs in baking is to provide structure, moisture, and richness to baked goods. They can also help to bind ingredients together and create a smooth and cohesive batter or dough. The type of egg used will depend on the recipe and the desired outcome. Milk. Milk adds moisture and richness to baked goods. It can also contribute to the texture of the finished product, depending on the fat content. Milk is a common ingredient in baking, and it serves several important functions in recipes. Here are the main classifications of milk and their functions. A. Whole milk. Whole milk is the most common type of milk used in baking. It contains about 3.25% milk fat and provides richness and moisture to baked goods. Whole milk is often used in recipes for cakes, cookies, and breads. B. Skim milk. Skim milk is a low-fat milk that contains less than 0.5% milk fat. It can be used in baking, but it will not provide as much richness or flavor as whole milk. Skim milk is often used in recipes for low-fat or low-calorie baked goods. C. Buttermilk. Buttermilk is a tangy, acidic milk that is often used in baking. It contains lactic acid, which reacts with baking soda to create carbon dioxide gas, helping baked goods rise. Buttermilk also provides a tangy flavor and a moist texture to baked goods, and it is often used in recipes for pancakes, biscuits, and cakes. D. Evaporated milk. Evaporated milk is milk that has had most of its water removed. It is thicker and creamier than regular milk, and it can provide richness and depth of flavor to baked goods. Evaporated milk is often used in recipes for custards, pies, and creamy sauces. E. Condensed milk. Condensed milk is milk that has had most of its water removed and has been sweetened with sugar. It is thick and syrupy, and it can be used in recipes for desserts such as fudge, candy, and pies. In general, the function of milk in baking is to provide moisture, richness, and flavor to baked goods. Milk can also react with other ingredients, such as baking soda, to help baked goods rise. The type of milk used will depend on the recipe and the desired outcome. Salt. Salt enhances the flavor of baked goods and helps to balance the sweetness. It also strengthens the gluten in the flour, which can affect the texture of the finished product. Salt is an essential ingredient in baking, and it serves several important functions in recipes. Here are the main classifications of salt and their functions. A. Table salt. Table salt is the most common type of salt used in baking. It is fine-grained and often iodized to prevent iodine deficiency. Table salt enhances the flavor of baked goods, balances sweetness, and helps to control the fermentation process in bread. B. Kosher salt. Kosher salt is a coarse-grained salt that is often used in baking. It has a less intense saltiness than table salt, which makes it ideal for recipes where a less salty flavor is desired. It is also commonly used as a finishing salt, sprinkled over baked goods just before serving. Sea salt. Sea salt is a natural salt that is harvested from the ocean. It is available in both coarse and fine-grained varieties and has a distinctive flavor that can enhance the taste of baked goods. In general, the function of salt in baking is to enhance the flavor of baked goods and to balance the sweetness. It can also help to control the fermentation process in bread by slowing down yeast activity, which can lead to a more flavorful and better textured bread. The type of salt used will depend on the recipe and the desired outcome. Understanding how each of these ingredients works together can help you make adjustments as needed to achieve the desired result in your baked goods. For example, if your cookies are turning out too flat, you may need to increase the amount of flour or use a higher protein flour. If your cake is dry, you may need to add more liquid or decrease the amount of flour. Did you enjoy a video like this? Please support our channel by hitting the like and subscribe buttons. Click the bell as well to be notified of new videos. Thank you for watching.